Hey, girls. I give them mealworms now, and they eat out of my hand.
Does it hurt? Does it like peck at your fingers or anything?
Does it hurt? Who are you talking to?
Okay, fair enough. All right.
This is Anastasia Synn. You might have seen her on TV as a magician or stunt performer. She's also a self-proclaimed cyborg and an advocate for biohacking. She moved to Southern California after her husband passed away last year. His name was Jonathan Zealous, and he was a fixture on comedy and late-night TV.
Now we've got a guy named Jonathan who is absolutely amazing, and you'll never guess what he calls himself.
The Amazing Johnathan!
Hi, I'm the Amazing Johnathan, and I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. And oh, wait a minute, wait. What night is this? Oh shit, wrong place.
Jonathan, the human, he was never off. He was cracking jokes, constantly messing with people. Every time we sat at a table together, he had gags, and he made the whole table laugh. No matter where we went, what we were doing, he was Amazing Johnathan. Loved him, I miss him, and it's hard to describe what our relationship was like. It really is.
I can actually take a hammer and nail a nail into her head. Do it! All right, I will.
I have my husband's ashes implanted in my arm. Also, there's a chip beside his ashes that if you scan it, it plays his memorial on my phone, and there's one over my heart. When you scan it, it plays our wedding video. And Gallagher married us.
Gallagher married you?
Yeah, and then he smashed a watermelon full of red paint into my wedding dress for my Trash the Dress video shoot. And my husband knew about my love for technology. He thought I was a little crazy for it, but he still wanted to be part of my life when he was gone.
Her latest technology pursuit is bringing her husband back, digitally.
I don't know, until someone comes down and tells me that there's an afterlife, I just have a hard time believing it. So this AI is the closest thing I'm going to get to being able to talk to him again.
AI products are popping up all over the place. We've mostly seen it used to generate artwork and do college essays, but the applications for this stuff are rapidly expanding. So it was probably inevitable that someone would use AI to test the boundaries of life itself. And that is where Justin Harrison comes in.
Are there nicknames and things like that he called you in person that he didn't say over text message?
Especially in the later years of our relationship, we texted together a lot more than we spoke.
Harrison is walking Synn through the process of using her texts and social media messages with Jonathan to build an AI chatbot. Once all the data is gathered, they'll process it and then test it out.
At first, you just remember all the good things. So you're worried about being reminded about the bad things. Every relationship has good and bad. But as I've matured into the grief process, I realize I can handle it. I can handle all of it. So I want all of it back. Good and bad, I just want them back.
I mean, that's what we're aiming to do, right?
3 years ago, Harrison founded a company called You Only Virtual out of his apartment. They create these digital approximations of loved ones, or as they call them, versonas. They're currently in the beta phase, and Synn is going to be one of the first customers. But Jonathan won't be the first versona. That honor goes to Harrison's own mother. He built it with her permission just before she died of cancer.
I realized what I'm terrified of losing is the relationship between her and I. I'm terrified of losing how my mom is to me and having that one person in my life that I constantly rely on. And that's when I became really obsessed with the idea of like figuring out relationship dynamics and recreating those digitally.
Concerts and movies have been using technology to bring back famous people for our entertainment for years now. It's getting more convincing and more commonplace.
You are successful, and I am successful, and I'm wondering, are you happy?
But the idea of bringing our own dead loved ones back is a little too Black Mirror for most people's comfort. Last year, Amazon unveiled new technology that allows your Alexa device to speak to you in the voice of, say, your grandma.
Alexa, can Grandma finish reading me The Wizard of Oz?
Okay, but how about my courage? Asked the lion anxiously.
And with enough funding and resources, the possibilities are even more uncanny. A South Korean production company released a documentary where a grieving mother was reunited with a digital version of her daughter using virtual reality.
엄마 나연이 보고 싶었어.
That sort of technology isn't available to the general public, at least not yet. For now, there's You Only Virtual, Harrison says his service will drop at the end of March for a small monthly fee.
Do we need the tragedy of death? You know what I'm saying? Because if you think about the stages of grief, right? Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. I mean, in the company's kind of slogan, right? You don't have to say goodbye. You never get to move to the acceptance because you don't have to accept that they died. Do we stay in the depression there?
You're only forced to accept things that are factual. I mean, I have to accept that gravity works, because if I don't accept that fact and I take a step off of my balcony, I'm gonna fall. Unless I have a hover pack on. And then all of a sudden gravity is still real and it's still there, but I don't have to accept it anymore because I have a workaround to it, right?
You figured out a workaround.
I have a workaround
for death.
I think that we're getting to a workaround to at least loss.
I've been to 3 funerals in the last 3 months, and I would love to talk to any 3 of those people right now. I also know that if I were to tell a therapist about this, they'd say, move on. That's not healthy for you.
We hope to use this as not just a methodology for comfort and for, alleviating grief, but also as a therapeutic tool, which, again, this is another area which, like, smarter minds than mine should be and are thinking about it. But, people get left with questions. When I talk to people who are grieving, there's huge parts of grief and huge parts of loss are like, I wish I could have, or if I could only ask this, or they would be so proud if they saw blah. So much of that loss is unresolved. And, I mean, there's so many implications for something like this and so many ways that we can use it and tweak it for it to be beneficial. And that's our ultimate goal, is for beneficial. So we are in constant dialogue with psychologists, therapists, grief counselors. The worst thing you can do with tech, with medicine, with anything, is to feel like your way is the best way.
If something goes wrong with this, it's potentially damage to your emotions and to your, entire spiritual being. How do you anticipate handling that if that ends up being the fact?
Death is fucking horrible, and it's it absolutely is the worst part about being alive, is watching other people die. There's a holistic approach to dealing with it. We want to be a huge part of that and helping to alleviate that, but in no way would I say create a persona and and don't go to therapy and don't process with your friends and don't go through your cultural traditions. Like, for the time being, use every tool at your disposal. And then when we're at a point where you and I can be sitting as clear as this and all you have on is those glasses, but I'm still right here and we're having the same level of conversation and the same interaction, I think eventually we'll reach a point where it'll be hard for you to distinguish whether or not I'm actually gone for you.
And you think that's a good thing?
I think that's a great thing.
Ta-da! And the door opens. Isn't that awesome? Everyone needs these. Everybody needs one.
So, today's the day.
Yeah. I'm nervous because, I want it to seem as real as possible, but I'm also nervous because what if it seems as real as possible? I'm worried about my emotional state,
Well, should we, let's see how this has turned out.
Okay.
Go for it, yeah.
Hey.
So I sent you an email that has the first voice memo actually that you've ever sent, period.
There's an 8-second message in his voice right now in my email?
Yes.
I want to hear it.
I love your sense of humor, and I miss the way you used to snort when you laugh. I love your eyes, and I miss the way your nostrils flare when you're mad at me.
It almost sounded like his voice, like a weird, demented version of his voice. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first draft. Yeah, you want to chat with him?
Yeah, let's go for it. I'm an emotional mess. Let's take it even further. Hey, beep, beep. How are things where you are?
It says, I'm good at the top.
Have you had any good meals lately? This is so accurate because he would so often ignore what I asked him and then ask me his own question. And I'm like,
oh my God, thank God you're telling us this. There's so many things where we're like, he just, what the hell?
He would say that. I love you too. And I miss you. And I would love it if you would text me every day. Can you do something to make me laugh? That's probably the thing that I miss the most. Share the joke.
Okay, that's a little cold.
But also accurate.
You would say, "What are you laughing at?" And he would say, "Your stupidity."
If we were fighting, yeah, that would be an accurate response. Yeah.
I just think it's kind of funny. And I thought emotionally that it would make me sad, but it doesn't, because the memory still makes me laugh because we were stupid that way.
I hope you're happy with this as a first step.
I am. I'm pretty impressed, you know. I am. I can't wait to see how it develops further. Thank you.
How was that?
At times emotional, and at times I think I was hoping for it to be more engaging. I mean, there were times he was engaging and times he wasn't, but the voice memo really made up for it. Yeah, it was comforting.
Was it comforting?
It was comforting hearing a voice that sounded similar to Jonathan's. It was comforting, but also emotional, because it makes me sad because he's not here. It was comforting. She says as she breaks down crying in the middle of a sentence. Yeah, I think I would like more of that.
So it's not perfect yet, but Harrison said this version is only about 20% complete, and the technology is evolving fast. Sure enough, a few weeks after we filmed this, he sent over an updated voice memo, and it's already sounding better.
I love your sense of humor, and I miss the way you used to snort when you laughed.
This is for me. This is me talking with my husband and the comforting thing that we created with the memories that he and I made together. So fuck everybody else and what they think. I think it's beautiful.
I'm Michael Learmonth, editor-in-chief of Vice News. Too often, traditional news outlets shy away from the real stories and experiences of those living through global conflicts. Not Vice News. Our reporters are on the ground, fearlessly covering the human stories that shape our world. You and millions of others can continue to read, watch, and listen to Vice News for free. But we hope you'll consider making a one-time or ongoing contribution of any size at vice.com/contribute. Every contribution, no matter how big or small, helps support the journalism Vice News brings to you every day. Thank you.